During a family dinner, my sister stood up and declared, "Mom and Dad decided I should get everything." She regretted it instantly. Family gatherings in my family weren't celebrations. They were obligations. Twice a year, I was expected to show up at my parents' house, once for Christmas and once for my mother's birthday. It was a ritual, one I had tolerated for years. But this year, this was the year I had enough. A little background: I'm the older sibling. My younger sister, let's call her Jessica, has been the golden child since birth. She could wreck the car, drop out of college, and quit every job she ever had, and my parents would still praise her like she was a prodigy. Meanwhile, I once got grounded for getting an A instead of an A+. Jessica never held a job for more than 6 months. At 32 years old, she still lived with my parents, never paying a single bill, never lifting a finger to help around the house. My parents coddled her, while I was the one they leaned on for everything: money, house repairs, even emotional support whenever Jessica's latest relationship imploded. But this year was different. A few months before the dreaded family gathering, I had a realization: I was done. Done being their safety net. Done being the fallback plan for their golden girl. Done with the guilt trips and manipulation. So I made some moves. One of those moves? Selling my house. I arrived at my parents' house already knowing something was off. Mom was practically glowing, like she had the best surprise ever lined up, and Jessica, she had that smug look on her face, like she had just won the lottery. Halfway through dinner, my dad cleared his throat and nudged Jessica, clearly setting her up for something. My gut told me I wasn't going to like what came next. Jessica stood up, raised her glass, and with a wide, satisfied smile announced, "So, Mom and Dad decided I should move into your house." Silence. I stared at her, fork halfway to my mouth. Mom clapped her hands together, beaming. "Since you're always traveling for work, it makes sense for Jessica to live there instead of wasting money on rent." Let me be very clear here. They never asked me, never hinted at it, never even suggested it in passing. They just decided that my house was now Jessica's new luxury crash pad. I calmly set my fork down, reached for my wine, took a slow sip, then, in the most casual tone I could muster, said, "That's funny, because I sold it last week." Jessica's smug expression evaporated instantly. Mom's face paled. Dad choked on his drink. "What?" Mom finally managed to say. "I sold the house," I repeated, pulling a thick envelope from my bag and sliding it across the table toward Jessica. "And since I figured you'd try to pull something like this, I even brought proof. That's the finalized sale contract." Jessica ripped the envelope open, scanning the document like she could somehow will it into saying something different. No. You can't do this. I was supposed to move in," Mom and Dad said. "Mom and Dad don't own my house," I said coolly, turning my attention to them. "And neither do you." Mom immediately started crying. "How could you do this? Your sister needs a place to live." I shrugged. "She's 32. She can figure it out." Jessica slammed the papers onto the table. "You can just buy another place. Let me move in until then." I actually laughed. "You expect me to just buy another house because you need a place to crash? Do you hear yourself?" That's when my dad, who had been suspiciously quiet until now, finally spoke. "This was selfish, my name. You know your sister isn't as successful as you." "I know," I said, standing up and grabbing my coat. "That's because she's never had to be. Because you two keep enabling her." And with that, I walked out. The next few weeks? Glorious. Jessica had a full meltdown. She went to my old house, knocked on the door, and was horrified to find a lovely retired couple living there. She screamed at them about her house and promptly got escorted off the property. My parents called, demanding I fix this. I blocked them. Then, the extended family got involved. The calls, the messages. Oh, they came flooding in. "Jessica is homeless now because of you. Your parents are heartbroken. You should have told them first. It was just one house. You could have given it to your sister." I ignored every single one. Eventually, word got out that Jessica had moved into my parents' basement. A 32-year-old woman, sleeping on a couch in the house she never had to leave in the first place. Karma. As for me, I took my money, booked a first-class flight to somewhere tropical, and left. And I don't plan on coming back anytime soon. I thought that was the end of it, that I had made my grand exit, washed my hands of their nonsense, and could move on with my life. But Jessica, she wasn't done. A week into my vacation, I got a call from a restricted number. I usually ignore those, but something told me to pick up. "Where the hell are you?" It was my mom. Her voice was shrill, on the verge of hysteria. "Mom," I sighed, rubbing my temples. "I blocked you all for a reason." "You have no right," she screeched. "Do you even know what you've done? Jessica is suffering." I put the phone on speaker and went back to sipping my drink, lounging on the balcony of my beachside rental. "Oh yeah, what's she up to now?" Mom exhaled dramatically, as if she was the true victim in all this. "She got evicted." I blinked. "Evicted? From your house?" She let out a deep sigh. "She had some trouble, and we had to ask her to leave. It's all because of you." I nearly choked on my drink. "Wait, hold on. How is it my fault that you kicked her out?" "You forced her into a bad situation." I rolled my eyes. "Okay, what did she do?" Silence. Then, after a long hesitation, Mom muttered, "She maxed out our credit cards." I burst out laughing. "Of course she did. Let me guess. You gave her access to your cards and told her to only use them for emergencies?" More silence. I sighed. "And what did she actually spend it on?" "Clothes. Designer bags. A Peloton." I lost it. I was laughing so hard I had to set my drink down. "You mean to tell me Jessica scammed you, ran up your credit cards, and you're still blaming me?" Mom's voice shook with frustration. "Look, we need your help. Your father and we're not doing well financially. Jessica has nowhere to go. You need to fix this." I took a slow breath. "No, you need to fix this." Mom gasped like I had just slapped her. "Just let her stay with you for a while. She won't be any trouble." I laughed coldly. "Oh, you think I still live somewhere, you know? That's adorable." A beat of silence. "What do you mean?" I grinned. I moved. Her breath hitched. "Where? Wouldn't you like to know?" And then I hung up. Ignoring my family wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. They didn't just let things go. Jessica, especially, had no intention of moving on. At first, it was just calls from unknown numbers, dozens a day. Then, emails from burner accounts. I ignored them all. Then, it escalated. One morning, I got a bank notification. Someone had tried to access my account. I froze. I locked everything down immediately. Changed passwords. Enabled two-factor authentication. But something felt off. The next morning, my phone buzzed with an email from my realtor. "Hey, just confirming your change of address request." My stomach dropped. I called her immediately. "What request?" She explained that someone had called pretending to be me and asked for my new address. They even had some of my personal details, my old address, my birthday. But when they couldn't answer a basic security question, she got suspicious. I already knew who was behind it. Jessica. This wasn't just anger. She was hunting for me. I decided I was done playing defense. Jessica wanted a war. Fine. I unblocked my parents. The moment I did, my mom's number lit up my screen. I answered. "What the hell is wrong with Jessica?" Mom actually had the nerve to sound offended. "Why are you so angry? You haven't spoken to us in weeks." "Oh, you mean the weeks where Jessica tried to commit identity theft?" Mom went quiet. "Yeah, that's right," I said. "Tell me why your golden girl is trying to get my private information." She wouldn't do that. "Oh, so it was a coincidence that someone tried to change my address? That someone tried to get into my bank? A coincidence that only started after I cut Jessica off?" Mom sighed. She's desperate. You abandoned her. Her life is ruined, and all you do is mock her." I clenched my jaw. "No, she ruined her own life. And if she keeps this up, I'm going to the cops." That finally got a reaction. "The cops?" she shrieked. "Yes, the cops. I have evidence." So tell your little princess to back off, or I'll make sure she spends some quality time behind bars. Silence. Then begging. Please, just talk to her. Just help her one last time. I let out a slow, deep breath. Put her on the phone. I heard rustling. Then, Jessica's voice. Smug as ever. Oh, now you want to talk. I smirked. I just want to know one thing, Jessica. Silence. I leaned in. What was your plan? If you got my address, were you going to show up? Demand I hand over my new place. She didn't answer. You seriously thought I wouldn't fight back? I laughed coldly. You always thought I was your safety net. That no matter what, I'd catch you. But guess what? I cut the net. So if you fall now, you're hitting the ground hard. She hissed. You think you're better than me? I smiled. No, I know I'm better than you. And then, I hung up. I thought the war was over. Thought that my final warning would scare Jessica into backing off. I was wrong. 3 days later, a friend sent me a message. Hey, saw a weird post about you on Facebook. Thought you should know. My stomach dropped. I clicked the link. It was a public post from a fake-looking account. But the post? It was all about me. A long, dramatic sob story about how I had abandoned my poor parents, how I had stolen money from them, how I was a selfish, heartless person who left his family to suffer while living some extravagant new life. The comments were worse. Wow, disgusting. How could someone do this to their own family? I hope they lose everything. Some people don't deserve family. And then I saw who shared it. Jessica. And my mother. This wasn't just drama anymore. This was a smear campaign. They called my job. They contacted my friends. They even reached out to my ex. People started messaging me nonstop. Some furious, some confused. Is this true? Why would you do that to your own family? Did you really steal from them? I was beyond furious. They weren't just trying to guilt me back into their lives. They were trying to destroy my name. And if they wanted a war, I was done playing defense. I spent the next few days gathering evidence. Screenshots of Jessica's attempted identity theft. The harassing messages she had sent me for money. Bank records proving I never stole from my parents. Proof that, in fact, they had stolen from me. Then, I hired a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a pit bull. The kind of lawyer who lives for cases like this. I sent a cease and desist letter to my parents and Jessica, demanding they take down the posts and stop spreading false information about me. I expected them to back down. Figured they'd get scared, delete everything, and finally shut up. I was wrong. A week later, I got an actual legal notice in the mail. My parents and Jessica were suing me. I stared at the papers, completely stunned. They were claiming emotional distress, that I had abandoned them, that I had financially abused them, that I had left them destitute while I lived a lavish lifestyle. I sat there, holding the papers, trying not to laugh at the sheer insanity of it all. They had no case, no proof, but they were banking on one thing, that I would be too scared to fight back. Big mistake. The first hearing was a disaster for them. Jessica showed up in a cheap suit, looking like a kid playing dress-up. My parents sat beside her, fake tears ready. Their lawyer? Some bottom-of-the-barrel guy who clearly took their case just for the check. My lawyer tore them apart. We presented financial records proving I had never stolen a cent, screenshots of Jessica harassing me for money, proof of her identity theft attempt. The judge took one look at the mess in front of them and basically said, "Are you kidding me? Case dismissed." Jessica lost it. "This isn't fair," she screamed in the courtroom. "He should have to pay for what he did. He ruined my life." The judge glared. "Ma'am, if you don't calm down, you'll be held in contempt." And just like that, their big revenge plan blew up in their faces. But I wasn't done. The next day, I sued them back. For defamation, for emotional distress, for harassment. Jessica didn't take it seriously. She laughed at the lawsuit, convinced I was bluffing, until the court ruled in my favor. I won a 5-figure settlement. And since my parents had co-signed Jessica's debts, guess what? They had to pay up. Mom begged me not to enforce the judgment. "I'm your mother," she sobbed. "Please, don't do this." I smiled. "You should have thought about that before you helped Jessica try to destroy my life." She screamed at me, called me heartless, but I didn't care. I made sure every single penny got collected. Jessica, broke. My parents, financially wrecked. And me, I took my money and never looked back. I thought it was over. Thought that after I won the lawsuit, after I made sure every penny was collected, after Jessica and my parents were left to deal with their mess, I could finally move on. But then, I got an email. Subject line, "You win. But you should know something." It was from Jessica. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the better of me. The email was short. Mom and Dad lied to me too. They told me they had set up an inheritance for me, that if I waited, I'd be taken care of. They never saved a dime. I was supposed to get the house, your house. That's why they pushed me to move in, because they needed you to keep it, so I'd have something. I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting. Then came the real kicker. They're in deep debt, not just from a lawsuit. They owe people money, bad people. And now that they're broke, guess who those people are coming after? My blood ran cold. I knew my parents weren't great with money, but bad people? How bad are we talking? And just like that, I realized this wasn't over. I made some calls, pulled some records, got answers, and the truth hit me like a train. My parents owed over $100,000, not just to banks, not just to credit card companies, to loan sharks. Jessica. Turns out she wasn't the only screw-up. My dad had a gambling problem. My mom, she had been covering for him for years. When their money ran out, they started borrowing. When their borrowing wasn't enough, they started making promises they couldn't keep. And when I sold my house, that was the last safety net they thought they had. Now, with nothing left, someone was coming to collect. 2 days later, Jessica showed up at my door. I don't even know how she found me, but there she was, disheveled, desperate, scared. She looked nothing like the smug, entitled brat I had grown up with. "I need your help," she said, her voice shaky. I crossed my arms. Why would I do that? Her hands were trembling. "Because if you don't, someone's going to die." For the first time in my life, I saw real fear in Jessica's eyes. "They came to the house," she whispered. "Mom and Dad thought they could talk their way out of it. They were wrong." My stomach tightened. What happened? Jessica swallowed hard. "They trashed the place. Took everything valuable. Left a warning." "What kind of warning?" Jessica pulled up her sleeve. There, on her forearm, was a deep, fresh bruise. "They told me," she said, voice barely above a whisper, "if they don't get their money soon next time, it won't just be a warning." I let out a slow breath. "So what? You expect me to pay off their debt?" Jessica shook her head. "No, I expect you to help me take them down." I didn't want to get involved. I had spent years getting away from my family's mess. But this was different. So I did what they never expected me to do. I went to the police, and I gave them everything. The fake lawsuit they had filed against me, the identity theft attempts, the fraud, the proof of their debts. And then, I tipped off the loan sharks. Not with money. Oh no, with evidence. I showed them exactly how much my parents had, how they had hidden assets, how they had been lying to everyone. Within a week, my parents were arrested. Fraud, tax evasion, debt-related crimes. Turns out, they had scammed people, lied, borrowed money they never intended to pay back. And now, they were going to prison. Jessica had a choice to make. She could keep running, or she could finally grow up. For the first time in her life, she did the right thing. She testified against our parents, told the court everything, helped the police track every scam, every lie, every debt. It didn't erase what she had done, but it was the first step toward fixing her own life. She got probation, community service, a fresh start. And me, I walked away. For good. After my parents' arrests, everything felt surreal. For the first time in my life, I wasn't tangled in their web of chaos. No more phone calls demanding money. No more guilt trips. No more schemes. I was finally free. And yet, part of me still felt like I was waiting for something. The final shoe to drop. A month after my parents were sentenced, Jessica showed up at my door. Again. But this time, she wasn't desperate. She wasn't smug. She wasn't entitled. She just looked tired. "I'm leaving," she said quietly. "For good." I raised an eyebrow. "And you're telling me this because?" She swallowed. "I don't have anyone else to tell." For a second, I didn't say anything. Just studied her. Jessica had spent her entire life riding on other people's coattails. First my parents, then me, then my parents again. And now, she had no one left. "Where are you going?" I asked. "I don't know yet," she admitted. "But I need to start over. I need to be my own person for once." A part of me wanted to laugh, to tell her it's too late, that she had made her choices, that I didn't owe her a damn thing. But another part of me, the part that remembered she was just as much a victim of our parents' toxic parenting as I was, that part told me to give her a chance. "Good luck, Jessica," I said. "I mean it." She gave me a weak smile. "Yeah, you too." Then, she walked away. And this time, I didn't think she'd be coming back. I sold my parents' house, the house I had grown up in, the house that had been filled with so much resentment, manipulation, and debt. I didn't need that ghost in my life anymore. Instead, I put the money towards something that actually mattered. I set up a scholarship fund at a local trade school. Not for kids like Jessica. Not for people who expect everything handed to them. For kids who actually wanted to work, who just needed a chance. And for the first time in my life, I felt good about where my money was going. I hadn't spoken to my mother since the trial. I hadn't planned to either. But then one night, my phone rang. An unknown number. I knew who it was before I even picked up. "Ethan." My mom's voice came through the speaker, small and pathetic. I didn't say anything. Just waited. I just wanted to hear your voice. I closed my eyes. "What do you want, Mom?" "You don't have to forgive me," she said quickly. "I know I messed up, but I need you to know. I always loved you, even if I didn't show it the right way." For a moment, I felt nothing. Then, I let out a slow breath. "I hope prison gives you time to think about that." She sniffled. "You really won't visit?" I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. "No, I won't. Ethan, please. You're my son. We're family." I smiled bitterly. "No, we stopped being family a long time ago." And then, I hung up. It's been 6 months since everything went down. I've never felt lighter. Jessica actually stuck to her word. She left town. Started fresh. I don't know where, and honestly, I don't need to. My parents? Still in prison. Me? I'm thriving. I bought a new house. A place that's actually mine. I met someone. A woman who doesn't manipulate, doesn't guilt trip, doesn't expect me to solve all her problems. Someone real. And for the first time, I'm not looking back. No more Jessica. No more toxic parents. No more guilt. Just me. Living life on my own terms.